Well, hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. So this morning me and Willie have ventured out and you can see this wee bridge that we need to cross to get across the river. However, it's absolutely too slippy, so we are not going to risk ourselves, so we're going to try and find another way to cross the river. Well, it's actually a burn, the Ogle burn, so we'll either walk down and cross or we'll walk up and cross. But anyway, we're in Glen Ogle, so let's see where this journey takes us this morning. So we've decided we'll hold on to the bridge and we'll just walk across the burn at this stage, because that bridge is absolutely lethal and slippy, fully slime filled. Alright, so as we said this morning, we've come up to Glen Ogle and the sun's just come up through the glen, and we've probably got about an hour and a half before the sun goes behind the mountains. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to take a shot of the waterfalls here as the sun's putting that nice warm glow on them. And what I'm also being conscious of is, as I'm standing here, the sun's hitting me and the sun's casting a shadow. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that when I compose my image, my shadow's not in the way. So I'm trying to, what I've got at the moment is a wide crop. And the other thing I've had to do is to balance, I've got a polarizer on to take the glare off the water so we can see through it. But because the sun's up and it's so bright, I've put a 0.6 ND grad filter on as well, and what that does is that balances the top of the image. So where I've set my camera for a long exposure, like a quarter of a second at f8, to kind of just slow down the water, and because I put in that slow shutter speed, it brightens up the image. So to counterbalance that, I've put the ND filter on, so it just darkens down the top of the image and hopefully gives it a nice balance. So I'm shooting at a quarter of a second, f8, ISO 100, and that's really nice. I will then zoom in, and the thing is, because the sun's coming up, it's getting brighter and brighter. And then the other thing I've noticed, because I'm trying to avoid my shadow, I'm now getting the trees' shadows, but that's fine, that's part of the scene. So what I'll do is I'll move around, I'll take different compositions of these falls, and then I'll share those images with you. Alright, so what I've done is I've come further back down the burn here, because what I'm trying to do is look for kind of foreground interest, and I've got all these rocks in front of me, and what I'm doing is I'm eliminating the sky so I don't get any highlights, but my focus is using the rocks and the burn as the leading line up towards the falls. And then what I'll do is I'll zoom in, I'll take a wide angle shot, I'll turn it over and see if I can get a portrait shot to see if that makes any difference, because it could be quite a nice portrait shot with this rock here, and depending on the angle I can get, it could be quite nice. And then another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go down really low and then try and shoot up between the rocks, just to get that different perspective and see what that looks like. So what I'll do is I'll take these images and I'll share those images with you now. Alright, so I've come up really close to that big rock, and what I'm really trying to do is just get more kind of details, but I get a wee bit more intimate in the scene where I'm getting a wee bit closer. I'm just looking for different compositions, different images, what might make a nice photo. And I've got this little stream of water coming down beside this big rock, and my focal point here is the rocks beside the stream. And what I'm doing is I'm zooming in, I'm zooming out, and I'm just trying to see what makes a nice image. And when I select my focal point, I'm actually focusing on the wee rocks beside the water, because as you know, it's difficult to focus on running water. And because I'm so close and because the background's so far away at this level, I'm getting quite a nice depth of field, because what I'm getting is the foreground in focus and the background is quite blurred. So I can see that I've got that separation between this little waterfall and the waterfalls coming down in the background, and it's actually really, really nice. So I've just spotted another composition where if I can get it further right, I'll take some shots up the way, and then that way, rather than use the rock as that kind of frame, I can use if I can put the camera vertical and shoot up the way, I might get that small waterfall with the bigger waterfalls in the back. And if I then raise the camera up high enough, I'll then be able to get a different lower viewpoint of the waterfalls behind me, but from the perspective of the top of the rock. So I'll try those and I'll share those images with you. Right, so I've moved further up, so what I'm trying to do here is get a kind of close-up shot of the waterfall here on the right hand side. But I'm using the kind of portrait mode because I want to get the foreground in as well, because it's really, really nice, because you've got these rocks that are shaping up and they're kind of flowing up towards this waterfall on the right hand side. And it's given me quite a nice leading line. What I don't want to do is go too wide, because I don't really want to get too much of the sky in, because the sky's really not that interesting, to be honest. So I'm shooting at a fifth of a second f13 ISO 100, and that's really nice. But what I'll have to do here is I'll probably have to do a focus stack. So, and I just want to make sure I've got this composition really sharp from front to back. So I'll put my hand in front of the camera, I'll take a shot, I'll take 3 or 4 images, I'll bring them together, and I'll show you that photo stack image now. Right, I haven't quite left this spot yet, so I've got closer to these falls, because what I want to try and do is see if I can get some kind of close-ups of the water. So the reason I'm focusing on the right hand side at the moment is there's a difference in the light. So the falls on the left hand side aren't getting the sun, but the falls on the right hand side are getting the sun. So what I'm doing is I'm just making best use of what I can at the moment before the sun goes, because it won't be long now. And then what I'm just trying to do is pick out little details in the falls and see if I can get some close-up images, because it's actually quite a nice composition, and to get this close as well is really, really nice. So I'm just isolating certain elements of the falls just now, taking shots and then just checking to see if those compositions work, and I'm conscious that I'm keeping the water at the same speed as that I like it. And I'm also going to give myself a wee bit more foreground so that the water's got somewhere to come into. Right, what I'll do is I'll take a couple more shots here, I'll share them with you. Oh well, oh, I'm out of puff. I had to climb up the hill. I thought there was a path, so I had to climb up the hill because I wanted shots in the viaduct here. Oh, I'm still catching my breath, so what I'll do is I'll turn round while I catch my breath, and then you can see the view that I've got from up here. That's the burn way down there where we were earlier. That's where we've parked the van. And yeah, beautiful glen, beautiful area. That mountain, you probably won't see it just because of the sun, but through there is Ben Vorlich. Right, I'll catch my breath and I'll come back to you soon. Alright, so I've caught my breath a bit. Right, I'm a wee bit, I've still got the sun up on the top left hand side before it goes behind the hill, and it's given me a lot of lens flare, but I might add to the image. I'll see how it looks when I process it. But what I'll do is I'll take some shots of the arches, I'll do them close up, because the other interesting thing about this viaduct is the viaduct doesn't follow the profile of the mountain, and as I can see now through the arches, the viaduct kind of sweeps past some of the mountain, so it's built out away from the mountain, and it's probably so it can get that smooth curvature following the mountain line. But what we'll do is we'll go behind the arches and we'll see what views we can get, because there might be some interesting shots using the arches as a kind of frame shooting back here to these mountains. But yeah, I'll take more images and I'll share those images with you now. Alright, so some more interesting facts about the Glen Ogle Viaduct. The viaduct was built between 1866 and 1870, and it really hasn't been used since 1965. This used to be the old train line from Callander all the way to Oban, but it's been disused for a number of years now, since 1965 obviously, and there's 12 stone arches here. It's actually 139 feet long and it's 44 feet high. And one of the reasons that the line wasn't extended was there was a Glen Ogle rockfall, and you'll see a lot of rocks lying here, but that rockfall led to them really confirming that they were going to close the line, because the landslip probably put too much risk on them, and the line was then officially closed on the 27th of September 1965, which, to be fair, if records are right, since 1965 there hasn't been another landslip. But there you are, things have now been diverted and the trains now go from Glasgow Queen Street up to Oban. So yeah, this is the famous viaduct. If anybody drives up Glen Ogle, you'll see it. Some people confuse it for the Harry Potter one, but it's not. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll keep moving and we'll catch up. Alright, so this is a fair wee climb, I'll tell you. So I've come up behind the viaduct now, and what I'm doing is I'm using the first arch as a frame for my image. I'm just going to tilt this down a wee bit, and I'm focusing in on the background, obviously, because the arch is acting as a frame. And then what I'll do is there's some kind of calcium water drops built up on the stones here, so I might take a shot of that, I don't know. And then I'll take some shots of the viaduct from the back as it sweeps round. We'll see if that turns out. And then what I might do is try and get a couple of, if I possibly can, I might have to do a panoramic, get a couple of the arches and use a couple of the arches to frame the glen in the background, because the glen in the background is all lit up with the sun. Obviously we're in the shade, and that could be quite a nice image. So what I'll do is I'll take these shots and I'll share those images with you. I've climbed down, which is much easier than having to climb up, and what I'm going to do is a panoramic shot of the viaduct face on. And then what I'll do is I'm also going to try and use this big boulder as foreground interest, and I'll take a shot with the boulder on the bottom right hand side, and then I'll take a shot with the boulder on the bottom left hand side, and then we'll see how those images turn out. As I work my way down, I'll then follow the river back up. So I'll take these images and I'll share them with you, and then I'll catch up when I get back to the bottom of the river. Alright, so I've come back to the river and I'm the opposite side of the bridge. So that was a bridge that we couldn't walk across earlier because it's far too slippy. But what I'm trying to do is get shots of the different levels of the waterfalls, and I'm going to use this big rock as a leading line. And then what I'll try and do is get all the water snaking down past me here on the left hand side. And then what I might then do is turn the camera over into portrait mode and see if I can get a shot of portrait mode, because there's a tree above the bridge there. So what I'll do is I'll take 2 or 3 images here and I'll share them with you. Alright, so I'm just going to move further down, just get a wee bit closer to the falls, just to get a kind of different perspective. We're kind of against the light now because the sun's up and it's pretty harsh, so these might be our last images, to be honest. Beautiful. Now knowing we'd need to come back when the sun was behind the hills. It's just it just looks really, really harsh on the back of the camera here. Right, so I'm just looking for a composition. I've got trees on my right hand side here and a bit of the mountain. It's quite tricky to light. I've got a ND 1.2 filter on because it's quite dark, just so that I can increase. I've got a faster shutter speed. Right. So I've got a fast shutter speed. I've now increased my speed to 1/10 of a second. I'm shooting at f14 and I've got ISO 100. So what it's eventually going to do is start to freeze the water, whereas I like that milkiness. But what I'll do is I'll try a few compositions here. I'll zoom in, I'll go wide. I'll take some portrait shots, I'll zoom in them, because there's some nice formations in the rapids here, or the wee waterfalls. They are in shade, so they could come up a bit bluey. So that's something I would need to fix in post-processing. But yeah, I'll take more shots here and then I'll head back and try and find Willie and see where Willie is. Well, that's me back to where we started, at the wee bridge that we can't cross. So Willie's been up the hill. So just watching Willie come back. I think he might be the same opinion, that the sun's too strong and we've lost the sun in the areas where we need it to be. But here he comes. Well, we've had a fair wee hike this morning, Willie.
A wee bit, a wee bit.
I hadn't realised how hard it was to climb up to the top of that viaduct. So I think the both of us were puffed by the time we got to the top. And the thing is, it looks like there's a wee path, but it's a path to nowhere. But it was good fun. So we can't continue anymore because the sun's too strong and it's burning out all the scenes, and we're getting too much highlights and the water's starting to become virtually impossible to take shots of. So I think we'll end the video here. So did you enjoy that, Willie?
Great wee morning, yeah.
Aye, nice wee beautiful weather, didn't expect this.
Great.
So I expected it to be cloudy.
Aye.
Aye, so brilliant. Right, well thanks again, Willie.
No bother.
And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because you know it's free. And if you press the bell notification, that'll let you know the next time I post a video. So thanks very much for watching, and here's to the next video.